have 60 books to talk to you about in this book haul. I do have a couple library books I'm going to talk about. I have some general fiction, one romance book, some sci-fi, some fantasy, which does include romantasy, thrillers, and horror. So a large range of things. We're gonna start with the books I have the least amount of to the most. So that means we will be starting with the one romance book that I have, which is Leather and Lark by Brain Weaver. This is the sequel to Butcher and Blackbird, which I loved and gave 5 stars. I have read this one and I did enjoy it. Not quite as much. I think the romance in this one is better, but the plot in Butcher and Blackbird is more fun. So this is a serial killer kind of dark romance. I have too many books to tell you about the plot of all of these. Next up we have the one memoir that I have, and that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is following the woman who was the victim in the Brock Turner case, and for a while she was anonymous, and then she put this out telling her side of the story. I generally am not into memoirs and things like that, but I've heard such good things about this, and she was at an event that I went to, so I picked up this copy. And then we have one general fiction, which is like a little bit of a thriller, but mostly general fiction, Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I have read this one as well and wanted a copy for my shelves. I think I gave it 4 or 4.5 stars. A friend chokes on a pancake, and then she steals her manuscript and publishes it as her own book, but is not of the culture that the book is talking about, and it causes all these issues for multiple reasons. Okay, so one of all of those, I do have 3 library books I'm going to talk to you about, so we'll go over those next. The first one is The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. I didn't love this author's first book, if we're being honest, but I'm reading this for specific reasons. I think this one's probably more of a mystery versus a thriller, but I'll be reading this. And then 2 horror books. Lucy Undying by Kirsten White. I have read and enjoyed from Kirsten White before. I gave Mr. Magic 5 stars last year. This is a vampire book. Truly, I haven't heard the best things about it, but I'll be reading it. And William by Mason Coyle. C-O-I-L-E. Cole. I don't know. I think this is AI psychological horror. Sounds incredible. Also, it's so tiny and cute. Next up we have sci-fi. It is only from 2 authors though. So I have The Minders by John Mars and The Marriage Act by John Mars. The Passengers was my favorite book of last year, and these are both in that kind of series. It's like not a series, but they're all set in the same technology advanced world with like different issues. Great social commentary in his books, so I wanted to get copies of these. And then the other 2 are special editions. In my last book haul, it's been a while. I think the last one I filmed was the end of May. I got the Broken Binding special edition of The Martian by Andy Weir, and since then Artemis and Project Hail Mary have come in. So this is Artemis, which actually is my favorite of the 3 editions, but also I DNF'd this book. So there's this one. And then my favorite of the books, but my least favorite edition, Project Hail Mary. I don't love the coloring, and it's like so off-center that really bothers me. Like the whole thing, I don't know, but I'm generally glad to have these, even though I was a little bit disappointed. Okay, on to fantasy. Some of these are more cozy fantasies. Some are fantasy romance, some is fantasy horror. So we'll start with the cozy fantasies. I have 3 of the books in the Wayward Children series: In an Absent Dream, Beneath the Sugar Sky, and Across the Green Grass Fields, all by Shauna Maguire. These are the 3 that I didn't own, and they were on sale, so I picked them up because I really enjoy this series. Then I have Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the first edition of it. This is a sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is a book that I really love, so I'm excited to get back into this world. Then I have 4, but kind of 3 fantasy romance. Here's the thing. I bought Heartless Hunter by Kristen, is it Cicarelli? And I cannot find it. Like, I don't know where it is, because I bought it after I read it, so it should have just gone on my shelves. I can't find it anywhere, and I'm very frustrated about it. So I kind of am hauling that, but also maybe not. I truly don't know where it is. I'm like, did I just take it to the library and give it to them? I don't know. Like, I might have just dropped it off, but I don't think so. Anyway, the other ones that I actually do have are The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I read this in the same video that I read Heartless Hunter. Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy and I did a reading taste match. We swapped picks to see how much our tastes line up. Hello. You want to get up there? Then I have... You got a big yawn back there. Your tail is smacking me. I have... Sorry, I'll put it on this side. He is so happy and his tail is... Bowser! Anyway, I have Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is a, like, truly haunted house, like, demons and ghouls and stuff. Bowser, I need my hands, dude. With, like, a competition to win money. Obviously there's a romance in here as well. You gotta let me film. I'm so sorry. And then I have The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I just read this in a reading from my shelves video, but it has these very pretty edges. This is... You are so impatient. This is a fantasy romance that has to do with, like, the Greek gods. There's trials, there's games for the winner of the head god. I don't know what you're doing. I wasn't paying enough attention to you, so now I gotta come up here. Sweet boy. I know. Can you let me film though? Come on up. Come on up. Dude. Lay down. I'm just gonna be up here now, I guess. And the last one is the fantasy horror, and that is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. This is a dark academia horror fantasy, and this is the Evernight special edition. So now we are moving on to thrillers. I have a decent amount of these. It's a combination of books I've read and haven't read. Book boxes. I don't think I have any special edition thrillers because they, like, barely exist. I'll start with the one that I have read and am actually unhauling after this, but I did get A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. This, that tricked me. This is the third book in the Kind Worth Killing series. I gave the first one 5 stars, the third one 3 stars, and this one I gave it 2 stars. So, it was fine. I got it since my last book haul, but I'm not keeping it. Then we have Someone in the Attic. I've heard terrible things about this, and I'm very excited to find out why that is. Good Girls Don't Die by Christina Henry. Listen, people don't like this book, but I very much did. I got this because I wanted a copy for my shelves. It's pretty much 3 different books in one, which is very interesting. I don't think this book was perfect, but I had a great time reading it. Appetite for Innocence by Lucinda Berry. This is a very psychological, disturbing thriller. One of my favorites of the year, so I needed a copy for my shelves. I read this because of a TikTok disturbing thriller video. The Butcher Game by Elena Urquhart. I was sent this by the publisher. This is the sequel to The Butcher and the Wren, which I read, I guess, 2 years ago when it came out. It's a serial killer thriller. I gave the first one 4 stars, so I'm looking forward to this one. Drowning by T.J. Newman. Another airplane thriller by her. I read one, didn't love it, but I've heard good things about this. The Unraveling by V. Keeland. I've heard this is pretty dark. It's about obsession. And I hadn't heard of that one until Aardvark had it, but it sounded interesting, so I picked it up. The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. I've read all of her books at this point. Some I like more than others, but this is the newest one, so I'm going to pick up all of her books. Another author that I just pick up everything from is Riley Sager, so I have Middle of the Night. I liked this one more in the moment, but the more I thought about it, the less I liked it, even though I generally still did enjoy it. And then another author that I will just pretty much pick up anything from is Ruth Ware, so I have One Perfect Couple. This one I didn't really love, but it's fine. I have a Ruth Ware collection, so I'm going to keep that. And then the last thriller that I have is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. I love this cover. Very cool. She told me that she fought people for it, and then made herself a cake saying, "I told you so." So I love the pettiness. So the largest category by far is horror. I have 30 of these to talk about. I will tell you the bare minimum about all of them, but like we're not going over the full synopsis because that is a lot. So to start, we have In Excess of Dark by Red Lago. This is grief horror. It's a very short novella. I would highly recommend it. The Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. I've read and enjoyed from her twice before this one. I really love this one as well. It's pretty short. Haunted house and grief horror. Candy Cane Kills Again, The Second Slaying by Brian McCauley. This is the sequel to Candy Cane Kills. It's a slasher. This one has a lot of religious stuff in it. Very fun. The publisher very kindly sent this to me. I think it might be out now, but I really like both of them. And with that being a sequel, it is also part of a bigger series called the Killer VHS series. So another one in that series is Cicada by Tanya Pell. This is Cicada horror. This is technically number 4, and this one is number 5, and then Candy Cane Kills is number 3 or something like that. So a little confusing with that, but also not really. Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. This is a novella that he just published. I have really enjoyed his novels, so very much looking forward to this, I'm assuming, creepy rest stop horror. Antenora by Dory Lumpkin. This is a special edition from Twisted Retreat. There's end pages, there's these like snake edges. I think it has something to do with like religious stuff. I don't really know much about it. And then the other Twisted Retreat book that I have is Do What Godmother Says by L.S. Stratton. So this one also has fancy edges and end papers. I don't know what this is about, actually. Bad Omens, Grandmother's House, Paranoia, Being Stalked. Next up, I have a short story collection from Darcy Coates, Small Horrors. I just read another one, actually, this one, that I'm also hauling. I read Ghost Camera, and it is one of my favorite short story collections I've read. I don't love a lot of them, like in general, but this one really worked for me, so I'm also hauling this. So then I got this one. I also have read so many Darcy Coates at this point, want to read all of them. So another short story collection. And then another Darcy Coates that I grabbed when I got Small Horrors is Parasite. This is one of her sci-fi books. She doesn't have a lot of sci-fi stuff, but I really like sci-fi and her books. So speaking of sci-fi, another genre blend, Intercepts by TJ Payne. This is one of my favorites of the year. So creepy about experimenting on people and things definitely going wrong with that. Edenville by Sam Rebline. This one's weird. It's so weird. That's all I have to say about it. But definitely a really strange one that I wanted on my shelves. I have 2 by the next author. The first one is the one that I've read, The Nightmare Man by J.H. Markert. This I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was so creepy and well done. So I wanted a copy of this for my shelves. And then when Book of the Month had Sleep Tight, I grabbed that. I haven't heard the best things about this one, but I'm hoping that I like it more because I think I like detective stuff a little more than a lot of other people. I think that one also is maybe kind of like a blend of horror and thriller. Next up, we have Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I have the Barnes & Noble edition of this, thanks to Holly, who was in my Patreon. She very kindly sent me this one. I couldn't get my hands on a copy before I went to an event with Paul Tremblay because I really wanted to get it signed. So thank you so much to Holly for sending me this. Oh, I also forgot to say I did get my copy of Home is Where the Bodies Are from my friend Michelle. She had an extra copy, so she gave it to me. She also gave me another book. Let me find it. Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. I was so scared to read this because I gave this author's first book. Well, the first book I read 2 stars. This one I loved, and Michelle and I buddy read it. She had a copy and I didn't, and she hated it and just gave this to me. So not that I'm glad she disliked it, but also I'm not upset about it. Another aardvark pick, I have Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. Absolutely incredible horror movie influence in this, so very much enjoyed that. Stay on the Line by Clay McLeod Chapman. This is a novella, grief horror. I have some more novellas. Dear Laura by Gemma Amor. This one kind of reminds me of the vibes of Pen Pal with like creepy things happening to a little kid. Pen Pal being the one by Dathan Auerbach, not The Dark Romance. The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. I read this a very long time ago, wanted a copy. This was the first cosmic horror book that I read, and I kind of want to revisit it because I had no idea what to expect at that time. What Feast at Night by T. Kingfisher. This is the sequel to What Moves the Dead. Another short book. The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This is the Evernight edition with end papers, edges, all the good things. This is kind of literary horror following somebody that becomes obsessed with eyeballs. Devils Kill Devils by Johnny Compton. This is kind of vampire, kind of lots of things. Very like violent. I have 3 books by this author for 2 reasons. Well, I guess 3 because one is just because I wanted to. One of them is I'm doing a Patreon read-along of some of her books, so I got some. Another one is I've seen her at 2 events in the past couple months. So the first one I have is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. Haven't read this one yet, but this is witchy horror. Some werewolf horror, Such Sharp Teeth, and Vampires with So Thirsty. This is her newest release. Then I have 2 books sent to me by the publishers, so these are both sent by Saga Press Books. The first one is The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Kist. This town kind of disappears and it's a ghost story. I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a slasher from the perspective of the slasher. And then 2 more. Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. This is a kind of haunted house creepy kid horror. And We Used to Live Here. More haunted house, really weird vibes. It took me so long to get my hands on this because it was sold out everywhere so many times. So those are the 60 books that I got in the past June, July, August, September, October, 5-ish months. I don't think I've gotten any books this month specifically. I have read a decent amount of these since buying them or before buying them because I love to have like a trophy collection on my shelves. Thank you to anybody who sent me a book, gave me a book. I'd love to know if you've read any of these books and what you have thought about them. Also, if I've read these books in vlogs, I'll have them linked in the description if you would like more thoughts on them. I'd also love to know what you're most excited that you have got recently, whether it be purchasing, gifted, or from the library. If you've made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave me a house for We Used to Live Here, and I will see you very soon. Bye.